Check. Oh, check, 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 check. Back like cook crack. And of course, y'all can catch the audio. But anybody on the video, checking my levels. It's been a minute. But welcome. That still works. That still works. That still works. We're going to vibe for a little bit. Couple things to talk about. That affiliated. Ground up. Let's go. Let's get that off for a little bit. But yo, I don't know if this is season 2, continuation of season 1. We're just gonna keep it running. But the NBA is back today, and I got a couple things that I want to address and get into. Now, this light is really bright. I don't like the light on me. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments for the next recordings, broadcasts, whatever you want to call it. I was in the Batman. I was in the Batman darkness for a little bit. I kind of like the Batman vibe. I ain't gonna hold you, but I could barely see my face. But this brightness right here is really bright, and it might kill my camera, but it's all good. NBA season kicks off today, and what do we got? We got Denver Lakers. We got Golden State Phoenix. Definitely play some bets, but shout out to the NBA. Shout out to the NBA. Whoever decides on making a schedule, that's how you kick off a season. 2 West Coast games now. I'm a little East Coast biased. Clearly, I'm a little East Coast biased, and some of us gotta wake up for work in the morning. And watching those West Coast games makes it very difficult, very, very difficult to talk in the morning without my coffee. I will say that. Some of those West Coast games make it very difficult to function in the morning without my coffee. I will say that. So shout out to the schedule makers for this season. It's the pregame. So with the pregame, we're going to cheers. I need a little clink clink sound effect. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to add the clink clink sound effect. But I'm going to talk about some of the bets that I made today, because you already know we're trying to get some money. We're trying to get some cash money. I'm going to talk about WNBA. Shout out to the New York Liberty making it to the WNBA finals. I actually went to one of the finals games. I actually went to a game in every series that they had in the playoffs. And it was a tough series, as everybody knows, in the finals. And it was really worth it. And I definitely want to say shout out to the ladies. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. Of course, we're going to talk about some New York Knick things, some Knick trades, potentially. There was some rumors that hit the atmosphere earlier today. We're going to talk about a little bit later. Season predictions for the New York Knicks. If I didn't say MVPs, who's going to be the season MVP? And of course, my thoughts on the New York Knicks, how I think we're in purgatory. I think we are in Knick no man's land. Shout out to the viewers out there. Say something so I can say what's up. Ski. But yeah. First things first, before we get into the NBA, let's get into the WNBA. I definitely want to shout out the ladies of 1, the WNBA, 2, the New York Liberty, for making all the way to the WNBA finals. Now, I will say they lost. And they do got some area of improvement that they could do. But I will say MVP, Stu York City, That's nothing to sneeze about. Not winning. Y'all lost to a championship caliber team, a team that just won a championship, and people are screaming dynasty. But I'm over here screaming rivalry. And it's a lot of free agent players that can be acquired, a lot of top tier talent. And we'll get into that once we see free agency get ramped up in the WNBA. I know right now teams are locking in who they want to keep as they solidify the next steps in their rosters. The Liberty have already said that they're going to keep Stewie. For those that don't know, the WNBA has a rule similar to the NFL franchise tag, where if you have a player who's up for free agency, you can pretty much do the same thing if you're familiar with the NFL franchise tag, or if you're not, essentially you can say, hey, we want to keep this player on our team. I know they're a free agent, but we are committing to keeping you here. And the Liberty have done that for Breanna Stewart, as they should. She's the MVP. So she'll be back next year, and let's see what other moves can be made. Jonquel Jones is a free agent, but we definitely got to keep her. She held it down. She's my favorite player on the Liberty. You throw it down to Jonquel and she ain't playing around. So definitely shout out to the Liberty. It wasn't the outcome that a lot of us wanted, but hey, it was competitive, and it showed that you can go from nothing to going to the finals in as little as one season by making the right acquisitions and having a solid coach and having a solid team. And you're just going to build on that. You're going to glue, you're going to gel, and you're going to build. We're going to get up there. And, the Aces was talking a little bit of smack. So, let's be professional, ladies, and let's bring it back next year. Let's bring it back next year. But I definitely want to shout out the women of the New York Liberty and, of course, the Las Vegas Aces, because they got the dub. Let's keep it a bean. But moving right along, and I want to move right along because I think the first game starts at 7:30 today, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I want to be able to get this off and settle down and jump right in to watching some basketball. Oh, the boys is outside, but watching some basketball because it's been a minute. The World Basketball Classic, World Cup, whatever you want to call it, was trash. USA got the bronze, I think, or did not even medal, right? Whatever. It was so bad that I forgot. But it was nothing that I wanted to watch. So I'm happy to see the NBA back out here. So let's get into some money. Now, these are just the chan bets. And sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But I will say, depending on what betting platform you use, you could win some cash. And depending on what betting platform you use, they might have either some boosts or some performance doubles or whatever the case may be. But I'm going to go out and say for both games, let's take a look at the spread and the over-under. So for the Lakers and Nuggets, currently the spread is 5 points, the Lakers being the underdogs. I would take that. The over-under is 229. That means both teams, the total points scored at the end of regulation is going to be either over 229 points or under 229 points. I think that's doable, but that's a little high. So based upon the over-under, first game, people might be a little bit cold, but also there may be a lack of defensive intensity. I'm going with the over if I was one of y'all. But also, I'm going to give y'all a little sneaky parlay. Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors. It's only a 2-point differential. I'm not taking the points. You got to go money line. I'm going the Golden State Warriors with 2 points, 2-point favorite. That's literally a push in my eyes. I'm going with the Warriors, even though they don't have Draymond Green. The Phoenix Suns have a new coach. The Phoenix Suns don't have Bradley Beal. The Phoenix Suns have to work on some continuity, and the Golden State Warriors added Chris Paul. And I'm looking out for a Chris Paul revenge game. I'm looking out for a Golden State Warrior team who's accustomed to playing with each other. I'm looking out for Kevin Durant, who's going to be unstoppable. He's going to score a lot of points. Devin Booker, he's going to score. He's going to shoot at a volume. But they don't have Bradley Beal, and they don't have Chris Paul anymore. They don't have DeAndre Ayton. They got Nurkic. They got a lot of new players, a lot of new additions to the team. So, of course, they're going to approach this as it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we're going to come out and do what we can, but we're not going to extend ourselves because our goal is for a championship. And the Warriors know at home, it's hard to beat them at home. We saw last year the Warriors weren't the best team defensively, but when it came to playing at home, they were damn near unbeatable. So I'm going to Warriors. Over under is 235 points. That's pretty high. You're looking at a game that's like what? 120 to 118. If you take in consideration the 2 points that Vegas is giving you, 120 to 118 is possible, but it's still risky. Anytime you see those high point games, it's a little bit risky. So what I would do, stay away from the over-under. But if you're able to do what the champ does at the Insufferable podcast when it comes to winning some money and placing these bets, you go to an alternative total. You look at the betting lines, you look at the over-under, and you take a couple points off. You give yourself some room to hedge, and you do a parlay of the two teams. Let's go Lakers Nuggets, total points 220. Let's see what that gives you. I'm doing this live. I could have priced this out earlier. I might even have it in my betting slip. But my favorite thing to do about going live when I stream or going live when I podcast or pregame is to make it authentic and do it as live as possible. And I'm doing it live. And of course, when you place bets, Vegas changes the odds. The odds makers change all the time. So it's best when you do these bet recommendations to always do it live because you never know. Things can change. You can have an injury report happen last minute. You can have any news that comes out last minute. So, like I mentioned, the Lakers Nuggets, Vegas says over under 229. Let's play it safe because we're trying to leave us some cash, right? We're trying to leave us some cash. So let's go over under of 220.5. Let's go to the other game, Phoenix Golden State. And I'm not telling y'all what betting platform I use because they ain't sponsoring yet and they ain't paying yet. And until that happens, keeping my lips sealed. Keeping my lips sealed. But as far as an alternate for total points, I do expect the Phoenix Suns to be a high-scoring team. Let's see if you go 230. That's light. That's very calm. $10 wins you 11. But if you add on that, you say Warriors win and a Denver Nugget win, you see that money double up. So definitely make sure you take the time when you take your bets to play it smart, to see what the hell is going on out here. So you can win some money, because a lot of times when it comes to betting, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about winning. You bet to win. And when you win money. So even if you win 50 cents, $2 every time you win, that compounds. And if you're placing daily bets and you win 50 cents every day, you win $2, $3 every day, you win $10 every day. Sometimes you win a little bit more. You add all that up, and in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, you're leaving with profit. It's about smart betting. It's not about making bets just for the sake of hitting the lottery and winning big. So those are my easy bets for the day. I do got a lot more, but we don't got enough time. And either the next pod or one of the next streams, I'm definitely going to have some of my better friends come on, and we definitely going to talk about how we be putting some money up and what gives us the W's, what gives us the cash money, the moolah. All right. So let's transition and let's get away from the betting. NBA season starts today. Aren't we happy? Aren't we happy? Aren't we happy to see the NBA season start today? I mean, Knicks ain't do shit last year. That wasn't expected. Denver Nuggets definitely won me some money in the playoffs. Transition and talk about some money, you know what I mean? But there's a budding rivalry between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers, mostly because the Lakers have LeBron and Nuggets were slept on. We'll just say that. The Nuggets were slept on, and the Nuggets handily defeated everyone in the West. And they handily won the NBA Finals. Thank God. Thank God we didn't see the Miami Heat win the NBA Finals, because we all know Miami and the Heat do not deserve to win an NBA Finals. Even the last NBA Finals that they won, they didn't even think they were going to win. The fan base doesn't even believe in their team. And God bless Pat Riley, because even though he's a snake and left the New York Knicks, he knows what he's doing. And if only the New York Knicks were able to give Pat Riley what the Miami Heat gave him, maybe we would have won a championship by now. Who knows? But I digress. We got the Lakers and we got the Denver Nuggets tonight, and Nikola Jokic has been an MVP. But as far as who's going to be an MVP for this season, I couldn't really decide on one person, but I think it's time that we have another repeat MVP. That's not Nikola Jokic. That's not the Joker. And I think we may see Kevin Durant finally get his well-deserved second MVP. I think he could have won it when he was in Brooklyn. I know he didn't play the full season. And I know this year with the rule changes, they're going to have to play. And I think because the team is probably going to go far in the playoffs, and I think that's something that's a factor, even though people always want to say it's a regular season award. And we saw Joel Embiid win last year. He pretty much wrecked everybody he played against, including Giannis. I think it's KD's time. And the reason I bring up Giannis, and that's not a stray, because I love Giannis. Giannis might be my favorite player that's not a New York Knick. He might be. I think Giannis is up there for an MVP. I really do. And if it's not Embiid again, and if it's not KD, I really think it's Giannis Antetokounmpo's time to solidify himself as a legend. I think he already is, but to remove any doubt, I think it's an opportunity for him to get another MVP. He has Damian Lillard on his team. They don't have Drew Holiday anymore, but that's okay. They still got Brook Lopez. They still got Chris Middleton. Guys are playing this season. They're going to go far. They're probably going to have the best record in the East. Let's not take Giannis for granted. Let's not give Giannis the LeBron treatment where we're tired of seeing LeBron win. So we're not going to vote him MVP. Giannis only got one MVP, I believe. I could be wrong. No, it's two. I should know this. I'm covering the NBA. What's wrong with me? That's because I do a lot of this. But hey, I didn't see that. But I think it's time for Giannis to solidify himself as the legend that he is. Then I'm just cross-referencing and doing some Googles. Yeah. He got 2 MVPs. I know I wasn't bugging. This is why I shouldn't do the show by myself. I gotta always have somebody just quickly do that research. I'm supposed to have my data guy with me, SO Analytics, where I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I think it's time Giannis gets his 3rd MVP and solidifies himself as a 3-time MVP. But if it ain't him, definitely Kevin Durant. He's solidifying himself to get another MVP, which is long overdue, to get a championship. Maybe. I don't know. But I do think the NBA Finals is going to be the Phoenix Suns against the Milwaukee Bucks. There's too much movement on those two teams and rosters for them not to at least make the conference finals. And I think with all the movement, especially with Damian Lillard still in his prime, Bradley Beal in his prime, let's see if he can have a healthy season. Kevin Durant, still who he is. Devin Booker is on the verge of entering his prime, and he's already a premier and elite player. You're going to have Devin Booker for years to come. And they have solid pieces around him. I think that's another finals appearance. And I think that's a matchup with a live crowd of the Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks. One of those guys is going to be the MVP. Kevin Durant or Giannis, the Greek freak. I'm not calling it freak time, but I think it's going to be some freaks in Phoenix. I'll say that. But I think it's going to be a matchup that we all going to be looking forward to watching. So I'm very happy that I got a league pass and I'm definitely tapping in. Let's get into the New York Knicks. Be prepared to hear that a lot this season. Be prepared to hear that a lot this season. Because I got some different expectations than what most people have. And I'm friends with a lot of Knicks fans. And I hear different perspectives from those folks. There's some Knicks fans who are satisfied with the roster. They're satisfied with the coach. They're satisfied with the front office. There's some Knicks fans who are not satisfied with the coach, not satisfied with the front office, and not satisfied with the roster. And I'm somewhere in between. I do have some things that I'm extreme about, and I do have some things that I'm just kind of cool on. It's whatever for me. Tom Thibodeau, as much as some of us give him hell, and as much as some of us would like to see the offense be updated, maybe with a younger coach, someone who can connect with the type of players that are playing in the league, younger players. I could see an argument for a coaching change. And Tom Thibodeau did not get an extension. So there may be a coaching change. And some may say with the goal of winning a championship, you need a solid coach, at least a coach who knows how to play against other teams and to play against other coaches. Some may say Tom Thibodeau got outcoached by Eric Spoelstra when they played the Heat in a series that a lot of people said the Knicks should win based off the talent alone. Plus, the Heat had their own issues. They had injuries. Looking at defense and schemes, Eric Spoelstra was more prepared and he outcoached Tom Thibodeau. That's what it is. When it counted in the playoffs and they made it to the finals. There are some people who feel that if the Knicks won that series and they matched up against the Celtics, against a young coach, the Knicks had an opportunity there to maybe win the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe go to the finals. And there's some people that say that on the bright side, it's good that that didn't happen because now we begin to see opportunities for a coaching change. I get that. But I will say a coaching change is not the number one priority for me right now. I feel that at certain points that may change. At certain points when I see the offense not make sense, because I know I'll see that may change. At certain points when I think Emmanuel quickly should start over Quentin Grimes, depending on the matchup. I'll probably change my mind then. When someone's getting overplayed, I'll change my mind then. When we become too predictable, which we have offensively, I'll change my mind then. When I think about how Obi Toppin was not used to the best of his potential, I'll think about that as well. But like I said, when it comes to the priorities, it's not a priority. My priority, as far as how I feel, and then on an extreme caliber, is the front office. I feel like this front office does not do what they need to do to bring a championship to New York. I feel like this front office is comfortable. And I feel like the front office is taking advantage of some of the good vibes and good press that has come to New York and come to the Knicks from outsiders and from insiders and people all around, with giving props and kudos to the front office. And I will say the front office does deserve their flowers, but the front office is not doing everything in their power. This past summer, we saw Kristaps Porzingis essentially say, I would love to come back to New York. We saw Kristaps Porzingis say, remember when I was the unicorn? Remember those days in the Garden? I would love to play in the Garden. And then he goes to Boston, TD Garden, not Madison Square Garden. What's up with that? You got a player the caliber of Kristaps Porzingis that allows you to play 5 out, that allows you to put shooters on the floor, that allows you to help Jalen Brunson, who did not have shooters in the playoffs when he needed it and got triple teamed. You let Obi Toppin go. You know, Evan Fournier didn't want to be here. You knew the Wizards were selling everything. Why not try to go get Kristaps Porzingis? And I don't want to hear about the cap, because the Knicks cap is destroyed right now. They're not at the worst, but they don't have a lot of room for movement. Why not try to get Kristaps Porzingis for Obi Toppin and Evan Fournier and throw them a pick? Don't get it. And I believe that was a 3-team trade that sent Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. So what did it really cost? But like some salary matching. They were fine with making a change. Front office was sleeping, in my opinion. Kyle Kuzma, another person who would have loved to play in New York. He's in New York a lot. Fashion dude. He's with Willie Harlow. She's the model. New York is the big space for that. Why not try to make a run at him? You get Dante DiVincenzo. You need a power forward. You need a player who can play at multiple positions to help out on the small forward position where we're undersized, and a power forward position where all we got is Julius Randle. When Julius Randle's on the bench, you can slide Kuzma to the 4. You can start Kuzma at the 3 and slide him to the 4. And you can have a stretch 4. A guy that can shoot, score, ball handle. Front office asleep. Front office asleep. Another person who a lot of people want to Kelly Oubre. I can go on and on. But the front office was sleep. But we got Dante DiVincenzo. We got 2 picks for Obi. Don't worry. The Knicks will be fine. We made the second round. Yes, that's the problem with the front office. They want us to be mid. And they want you to be okay with being mid. I don't want mid. I want a championship. I want a championship. While I'm still able-bodied enough to go to a championship parade and run up and down 34th Street and 8th Avenue and 7th Avenue, all the way across the bridge back to Brooklyn, where I live. I want to see a championship while I'm still able-bodied in my youth, in my health. I don't want to be old and gray. I want to see Walt Clyde Frazier celebrate a Knick championship that he didn't play to win. I want to see Patrick Ewing, Latrell Sprewell, Carmelo Anthony, Larry Johnson, all those guys who came to the Garden to support the Knicks during the playoffs. I want to see them support the Knicks winning a championship in the NBA Finals. And if we continue to look at how much we've improved from previous years, oh my God, New York, they're so much better under the leadership. Being marginally better where we're operating like a respectful franchise is the norm. That should be what the floor is. Why is the floor of other teams our ceiling? We need to be in competition for a championship. And just because we're right in the middle 4-5 seed, I got us winning 46 games, unfortunately. That doesn't give us enough room for drafting, which is something that we don't take serious anyway when you look at this front office. I went down every single game and I said win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. Like I did last year. I got us winning 46. And that's before I looked at Vegas, who have us right about there. I think it's 44, 45 and a half with the over-under. So I got us at 46, not including the playing tournament or whatever, in-season tournament, whatever it's called. But why is the ceiling of the New York Knicks the floor of other franchises like the Celtics, the Spurs, the Heat? Why is the thing that we're touting a norm for other teams who are typically synonymous with success? So we just need to raise our level. And I challenge all Knick fans, I challenge all Knick supporters to raise your level of expectations, raise your level of how far this team can go. Don't look at the roster. Just look at your team that you support as a whole. How far you would like for them to go. And understand, the more we look back, the less distance that we'll travel forward. Because we're always looking back and we're not looking forward. And we need to look forward. And I want to look forward to a championship. I don't want to be old and gray getting a championship. And I got a whole lot more I could go off on. A whole lot more. But I don't even know if they even care about the fans and what the fans got to say and how the fans feel. Because the Knicks in the 90s, best fans ever. Come on, go New York, go New York, go. Come on now. Now all we got is hashtags. Every team got a hashtag. New York forever. New York forever has nothing to do with the Knicks. It has to do with Knicks fans. Knicks tape. If we want to take it back, shout out to Iman Shumpert. That's from fan support. Once a Knick, always a Knick. That's from the fans. So I don't want to hear no fancy, catchy catchphrases. I don't want to hear no hashtags. Because all of them have the fans at its core. And you can't make moves for this team and not recognize how much the fans actually care about the success of this team and how much the fans all actually support this team. There's no franchise without the fans. And you have fans of every level, up and down, whether you're on extreme levels of support or hate, love or hate, whether you're in the middle or in between both lines, it doesn't matter. The fans move the needle for this team. And this front office needs to have recognition of how much the fans matter. It's important to have recognition of how much the fans matter. Because the fan favorites, you done kicked out. Obi Toppin gone. He's from New York. He grew up watching his team. He cried when he got drafted. I'll never forget that draft. Whether or not you agree if it was the right or wrong pick, that man cried. That young man cried. And y'all shitted on him. Y'all ain't do him justice. And whether or not he becomes an all-star or one of the greatest players does not matter. He's a person. He's a person. And when you draft players, you're supposed to invest. Did you properly water that seed, water that plant? Did you properly care for your investment? I don't know. IQ, he didn't get extended. Now, I didn't think he would, but that's not something that's normal for the New York Knicks to give extensions. They normally wait till the end of the season when you're restricted. That's something that's normal for the New York Knicks historically. So I didn't expect it. So I ain't really too about it. But do you see a future with Quickly, who was drafted in the same draft as Obi? I don't know. I hope so. I hope so. But if we keep chasing the mid, we're going to be in no man's land for a long time. And if you don't know what no man's land is, that's when you're right in the middle. You can't get up. You can't break that glass ceiling. But you're too good to fail, so you never get a great draft pick. You're just in no man's land. And some of y'all, unfortunately, are happy to be in no man's land. No, sir. Not me. Game's about to start. All right, cool. Let's get into some trade rumors real quick, and then I'll wind it down and send it off. I appreciate the listen before the premiere of the NBA season. Game 1, this is the pregame. I love when I get a live listener, but I also get listens on the replays, especially on the podcast network. So shout out to the podcast platforms. I appreciate, I genuinely appreciate it because like this gear was not cheap. But Knick trades. There's a lot of energy for two guys. New Jersey's finest, Karl Anthony Towns, and the African MVP out of Philly, the process, Joel Embiid. So there was like a rumor, something came out on Twitter today. The Knicks are prepared to offer a package of R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Mitchell Robinson, and 2 or 3 first-round draft picks. Any of those 3 players in the picks for Joel Embiid. AKA, make the money match. We'll throw in them picks and let's go. And a lot of people think Karl Anthony Towns trade is imminent. I myself think that trade is imminent. Why? Because going back to my beef with the front office, it's the easy thing for them to do. And they're going to do the easy thing. Jalen Brunson was the easy thing. He's pretty much the godson of Leon Rose. Rick Brunson works for the team. That was a no-brainer signing. That was the easy thing to do. Traded for Josh Hart. We love Villanova. That's basically what the front office has said. We love Villanova. We're going to get Josh Hart. Friend of Jalen Brunson. When I should have tried to get Mikal Bridges, but sure. The easy thing to do. The hard thing would have been trying to figure out a way to get Mikal Bridges. But do they want to do the hard thing? And another easy thing for them to do is just pay Dante DiVincenzo a couple $1 million, over 10 mil. Another Villanova guy. Easy thing to do. He's cool with the Villanova guys. And of course, re-sign Ryan Arcianato. For what? For what? It's easy. They don't want to do anything hard. Pause. And that's why I call the trade for Karl Anthony Towns imminent, because it's the easy thing to do. The Minnesota Timberwolves are well over the tax apron, and no owner in their right mind is trying to pay that, especially if your team is in no man's land. But at least they have an all-star or two on their roster, and they have a potential future MVP candidate with Anthony Edwards. And I would love Anthony Edwards on the New York Knicks. And if the Knicks cared about drafting, they would do their best to try to get a guy like that. With Rudy Gobert there, he's untradeable. You're never going to get what you paid for. That's like when a sneaker reseller buys sneakers, he thinks they're going to hit. You think he got a good flip, and then you go on StockX, and they're under retail. You know what we call that in the sneaker community? A brick. Rudy Gobert's a brick. They can't move him. I'm pretty sure a team will take him, but they're not going to pay the asking price. And the asking price is what it is because the team that acquired him overpaid. So now they're sitting on a brick. And they know Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, that matchup is not going to work. They tried it. It's not going to work. Karl Anthony Towns doesn't want to play center. That's fine. But Rudy Gobert, he pretty much is immobile. He's great defensively. He'll step out of the paint on defense. He will. But on offense, he's extremely limited. So it's not like you could play 5 out. You can't play small ball. You can't put Cat at the 5. He doesn't like it. He doesn't perform best at the 5 according to him. Some might say differently. Dating might show differently. You're not getting rid of Ant. Mike Conley's there. He got a contract. I mean, I believe he's there. And they just re-signed for, I'm getting the number exactly. They just re-upped for $136 million, Jaden McDaniels. How are they going to pay that without paying any of these penalties for being over the apron? You got to trade somebody. So if I just told you that they just gave Jaden McDaniels a contract extension, Anthony Edwards is a future MVP candidate, Rudy Gobert, the stifled tower, is untradeable because he's a brick. Who's the odd man out? Who's a Knick fan? And I'm pretty sure there were some rumors that the Knicks were monitoring Karl Anthony Towns. That's not what I'm looking up. But I'm pretty sure they were monitoring that progress. But I'm pretty sure Karl Anthony Towns is represented by what agency? What agency? CAA. And who is the man behind CAA? Leon Rose. I gotta get a Leon Rose graphic. Going. Leon Rose. Do the math on why that trade is probably likely to happen over Joel Embiid. Given that Knicks are destined to be in no man's land because we want to live in the mid and our ceiling is the floor of more successful teams. And given that the front office just wants to do the easy thing. When Minnesota's probably going to want to get some picks because you can't get the picks for trading Gobert, but you could get the picks for trading Karl Anthony Towns. You could get like 2 first-round picks with some salary matching. They're going to ask for more. I wouldn't give anything more than 2 first-round picks and some salary matching. Go do some due diligence, see what that salary matching looks like. Some people are out of here. What I would love, you take them 2 picks, you go into Philly, and if you want to do a pick swap or a third pick, take it. We got some picks here to give y'all. And picks are needed, especially with the new CBA, because you want to get players that are not going to kill your salary cap. So even maybe some second-round picks could be valuable as well. I would think second-round picks have more value with what the new BA, that's a C, I think that's a CA accidentally, with the new CBA. I think second-round picks have more value. I would put all them chips into Joel Embiid. If it's going to cost you 3 of the 4, Evan Fournier is one of them. So 2 more guys. If it's going to cost you RJ, Julius, or Mitch, okay. I'll give you Mitch because we're getting Embiid. I'll give you Mitch. And either or with the other 2. That's a solid third option after Embiid and Brunson. A solid third option after Embiid and Brunson. And RJ's younger than both. And we can 100% ascend. His contract is locked up versus Randall in a couple years, seeing what that would potentially look like. And we could probably add another key player if we don't end up paying IQ, which I think we should. I think that's a no-brainer move right there. I want Embiid. He was the MVP last year. He would shine in a market like New York. And he moves the needle for those who would love a coaching change. For those who would want to see potential further changes. And he definitely raises the expectations. He definitely raises the ceiling and hopefully the floor of somebody's other teams is the same as our floor because we're elevated. And I think he elevates us in a way that Karl Anthony Towns does not. Joel Embiid could do everything Karl Anthony Towns can do, and Karl Anthony Towns can't do everything Joel Embiid does. So you go get the better player. You try. You start there. Front office, Leon Rose, you start there. All right. Appreciate y'all tapping in. I'm still waiting on the intro music or the theme music. And when I get that, I'm gonna be playing that. But until then, we're gonna kick it with the hip hop on the way out. And while we ride out, I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I'm gonna come back with a solid schedule, or I might just keep popping up on y'all. definitely NBA season's kicking off. So that bum of the week, that bum of the week, that bum of the week is coming. Back to the Batman. That bum of the week, to turn that flash off. Back to the Batman. Bum of the week is coming. More guests are coming. Hey, yo. A lot of new fun things for sure. And hopefully, at some point, we could do a meetup, watch these games, talk some ish, have a beer, do what we do. New York, get ready for the NBA season. Congratulations on a new year of basketball.